tactical advantage you can get in showing that the other person is not qualified, there's disruption in their party, is the thing that you use as a strategist. When I would do focus groups every single day, I ask voters, what are they looking for in the presidential elections? And Democrat, Republican, or Independent want to know, what are you going to do and what is your plan to help me and my family? Bottom line. So all of this stuff on the right and on the left, when the voters come right down to voting on election day, it's really going to be self-serving on what the message can be to help them.
Ron, this next headline that I read, it's not from the Onion, though it appears as though it could appear in the Onion. Because of his growing legal bills, reportedly, Donald Trump is now selling Bibles for $60, and they are advertised as, quote, the only Bible endorsed by President Trump. What are we to make of this?
Look, Donald Trump has been, shameless throughout his whole career about trying to market his name and his leverage, and certainly, through his presidency, the net worth of his family and the money that was spent by foreign governments at his hotels. I mean, he never stops being a business guy, and this, and the Truth Social, example of the supporters kind of pumping up that stock. Can I just make one point about your previous question about the RNC?
Please.
Allison, it's important. There are about a quarter of Republican voters who do not believe the election was stolen. They were the core of the Nikki Haley voters who resisted Donald Trump in the primary. They are the same kind of voters we were talking about before, tend to be white collar, suburban, economic Republicans who are not as much on the kind of culture war train as Trump. They are a critical constituency for Biden to cut into to further his gains from 2020 in suburban areas. Don't forget, January 6th and Dobbs both happened after the 2020 election, and Biden will need them to offset something Chuck could tell you a lot about, which is the potential for Trump to have inroads among blue collar, Black, and Hispanic voters. So, when Trump is basically saying at the RNC, only people who believe the election is stolen belong in my Republican Party, that is exactly kind of the wedge. It is exactly the kind of voters that resisted him in the primary that are a critical target for Biden, and that will, as I said, potentially allow Biden to offset what will likely be some erosion in the kind of voters where kind of communities where Chuck spends most of his time, those blue collar, Hispanic, and Black communities where there is disappointment on inflation and other issues.
Yeah, Scott, but I mean, is the RNC looking for people who don't believe or do believe? Where is the RNC? What's the RNC trying to do with that question?
I think the RNC under Chris LaCivita is probably trying to find the most experienced people they can. I don't know what the nature of the questions are exactly, but my guess is he's looking for experienced political operatives. To Ron's point about the inflows and outflows in the parties right now, I think he's absolutely right. I think most of these Nikki Haley voters, by the way, are gone. They're not actually interested in possibly being recovered by Donald Trump. But at the same time, I think there are Biden voters who are totally disinterested in Joe Biden. So I think you're seeing, and it's a lot of it's on educational attainment lines, but you're seeing massive inflows and outflows. So my guess is ultimately what Donald Trump is thinking is, I don't need these Nikki Haley people. I just need to cut into the working class core of Joe Biden to replace them. And that's really the ultimate algebra problem for this election. Are there enough replacements from Biden's coalition to replace the ones that you see outflowing in the suburban areas?
Right. Chuck, I've only got 5 seconds. You're just tie this up for us.
Look, I think that both are exactly right. Donald Trump has made a strategic decision that he's not going to get Nikki Haley. He's going to double down trying to get more Latinos and Blacks. And he's also trying to bring new people in by being extra crazy and get extra crazy people who never volunteer or come into the party.
Perfect way to button that up.